Yo, what's good people? If you're wondering why I haven't got my face cam for this video, I am hella hungover right now and I do not want to appear on YouTube in the state that I am in. So that's why, but that's not what we are here to discuss. No. Starting December 10th, there is going to be a calendar, and if you complete every single day in this calendar, you will get the option of choosing a 7-star champion from the glorious Guardian pool. So that means you will be able to select a 7-star Deadpool X-Force, Sentinel, Purgatory, Sentry, Medusa, or Black Panther Civil War, but you only get to pick one of these, and it's only if you complete the calendar. This is starting December 10th, so what I'm going to be doing in this video is discussing who the best option is for you to pick. I'll be pretty much ranking every single champion here and talking about how important their signature ability / awakening is, because let's say, for example, the number 1 champion on this list needs awakening. Maybe that's not the best champion to pick for you, because if you don't have an awakening gem, if you don't have a way to awaken them, they're going to be useless towards you. So I think it's really important to discuss how important their duped ability is. So without further ado, let's jump into the ranking. Now, keep in mind, I have made a video on pretty much every single glorious Guardian champion as a 7-star, so I won't be discussing how to play these champions too much because I've already made videos on that. I will leave the link to those in the description if you are interested. But the first champion and the worst champion is the only one I did not make a video on because no one uses this guy. He's not meta at all. He's bad for battlegrounds. He's never used an alliance war. He's not even good for story content because he takes way too long to ramp up. The only content this guy is good in is long form content, and of course there's no new long form content going around. There's Necropolis, which is the newest one. However, there's so many other options for Necropolis that are just as good as Sentry but are good elsewhere. Like Onslaught, for example, he's good everywhere in the game, so why would you rank up Sentry over him when like he's not good in any other aspect of the game apart from long form content? The only way Sentry is worth picking for you is if he's the only champion out of this pool you do not have. Even if you have the other champions but you don't have them awakened, it's still worth picking a awakening ability over picking a new Sentry because you will never use this guy. Does he need his dupe? Not really. He's usable without his dupe, but it's definitely a nice piece of utility. It gives him that indestructible passive, which is a pretty crazy piece of utility, but he's just not meta at all. He's not good for battlegrounds, not good for alliance war, not good for story content, so I would not bother picking Sentry unless he is literally the only champion you do not have. Now, every champion past Sentry is fantastic, can be considered meta, and is good in battlegrounds, sometimes alliance war, story content, etc. So at the number 5 spot, I am going to be placing Purgatory, who is a very underrated champion. She's really versatile. All you need with Purgatory is to be able to access your Fury buff. She's really easy to play. You just hit your opponent until you go into Demonic Rampage. This gives you a Fury buff. You do massive damage. She has a really strong and reliable access to neutralize. She's a great counter to many tricky defenders like Serpent. She's great for Deathless Thanos. She's great for a lot of defenders as long as you can access your Fury buff. She's probably great for them. Her damage is fantastic. She is really underrated, and best of all, she does not need awakening whatsoever. She is perfectly fine unduped, and she's an even better champion for story content, for example, because she has the ability where, for example, she beats a Mystic champion, she gains a special ability, she beats a Cosmic champion, she gains a special ability. So for story content, she gets even stronger, but she's great for battlegrounds. She's not used in Alliance War much, but I can definitely see her being useful there as well, especially if she's a tactic attacker in the future. So if you don't have Purgatory but you have the other champions, she is definitely a solid pick, and she does not need awakening whatsoever. So pretty much every champion past Purgatory, I would say, is god tier. These are all god tier champions, very meta, very useful to have. So at the number 4 spot, I am going to be placing Medusa. Now, Medusa's a great counter in Battlegrounds to many tricky defenders. For example, Solvar, pretty much every single tech defender in the game, apart from Sentinel, because Sentinel is armor break immune. And of course, the way Medusa accesses her damage is by applying that armor shatter and gaining her fury buffs. So you need to be able to do that. If you can do that, her damage is fantastic, and she's relatively good on defense as well. If your opponent does not have a good mystic champion or a auto block counter, she can definitely catch a lot of people on defense. I would say the awakening is very important for her though, because not only does it give her a lot more damage, it also basically it lets her access a true accuracy buff. And this is so useful. This true accuracy buff is so easy to gain. All you need to do is get your armor shatter up on the opponent, and that's what you want to do anyway. And this gives you a true accuracy buff for 35 seconds every time you apply a armor shatter, and this bypasses auto block and evade. So she's a great counter to champions that evade, defenders that auto block. Just a great dual use champion for Battlegrounds in general. She's useful in Alliance War on occasion as well, and she's very good for story content, especially because she has that safety net in her auto block. Basically, if the opponent hits you more than once, she's going to auto block. So that's a really strong safety net, and I think she is number 4 on the list. Keep in mind, she does really like to be awakened. She doesn't necessarily need it. She's definitely usable on awakened, still has great damage, but she is missing that true accuracy utility, which is so strong. So at the number 3 spot, I am going to be putting Sentinel, who's a very meta champion for Battlegrounds, one of the strongest tech defenders in his class. The reason he's such a strong defender in Battlegrounds is because he's armor break immune, so he basically shuts down many of the OP cosmic attackers you would usually use, like Cull Obsidian for example. You can't use CGR against Sentinel, which may not be relevant right now, but it might be in the future. Hulkling does take Sentinel for when he comes out as a 7-star, but he doesn't do it in 30 seconds. It's like a 45-50 second fight. So Sentinel is a really strong defender, and I would say he likes to be awakened, but it's not necessarily. Him being awakened basically just makes him a stronger defender, because the awakening ability is what gives him those armor up buffs when he gets below 15% health in a matchup. And obviously when he loses these armor up buffs, he gets a lot of power gain, like 90% of a bar power. So if you're not paying attention, if you're not baiting out special attacks quickly or nuking the last 15% of Sentinel, you are probably going to eat a special free, and eating a special free against Sentinel in Battlegrounds or anywhere else really is awful, because he regenerates to 100% health. That is a insane piece of utility, by the way. Sentinel with his special free regenerates all the way to 100% health, and this is extremely useful for not only Battlegrounds but story content, Alliance War. It's such a OP ability everywhere in the game. So yeah, he's a great attacker as well. I haven't even talked about him on attack yet. Not the most versatile, not the most fast attacker out there, but he does counter a majority of the mutant defenders in the game, and some defenders outside of the mutant class. Like for example, he's pretty decent counter to himself. Like Sentinel is a decent counter to Sentinel. He's a decent counter to like Red Skull. He can take like Nick Fury. So yeah, he's a decent attacker, really good defender. Doesn't need to be duped at all, but the duped ability just makes him that much more of a stronger defender. So yeah, Sentinel at the number 3 spot. Now at the number 2 spot is a absolute nuke for Battlegrounds, bro. Like, he is a nuke, but not only is he a nuke, he's also pretty great on defense as well. And that is Black Panther Civil War. Where is he now? Now, he is a champion that can counter Captain Britain pretty well, which is crazy for a skilled champion to do. But he's so incredibly versatile because his source of damage is burst damage, and not many champions are immune to that. For example, he's a great counter to Photon. He can even take Onslaught, Mr. Sinister, Captain Britain, as I mentioned. He's just so incredibly versatile on attack. He's really tanky. Even though his playstyle includes having to parry a ton, He doesn't take that much block damage whatsoever. He's really easy to play. All you need to do is parry attacks and parry special attacks, drop a heavy attack, drop your special 2, and you are cooking so hard. And he's pretty decent on defense as well. Not the hardest defender out there by any means, but he's really tanky. And you know, for a majority of the match, you can't reliably parry him, which just slows down the match even further. Maybe he makes you take some block damage as well. So he's just a really, really great dual use champion for Battlegrounds. I think he's going to make a big comeback. For some reason, recently people have not been using him as much, but I think that's just because a lot of new champions have been coming out recently and a lot of people want to use them. But Black Panther, still very meta. Not used in Alliance War very often at all. I wouldn't say he's an Alliance War champion. I would say he is mainly a Battlegrounds champion, but of course he's great for story content as well. The Awakening, he doesn't need Awakening, but it's super nice because it basically just ramps him up quicker, and obviously that's important for Battlegrounds, so you have to parry less attacks, so you have to spend less time ramping up. It just makes him quicker in Battlegrounds. The higher the sig, the faster he's going to be in there. Okay, now the number 1 spot. I'm sure you know who it is. As many people like to call him, Marvel Jesus, Deadpool X-Force. Now, we've talked about versatility a lot. Deadpool is literally the king of versatility because, of course, when he uses his special 2, oh my days, he activates that Daunted, and that basically turns his bleeds into bleach debuffs, which no one is immune to. Like, for example, he can take Sentinel, which he really should not be able to do. He can take Solvar, he's a great counter to Onslaught, Mr. Sinister. If he's awakened and at a decent sig, he completely shuts off Nick Fury's second life. That is the only thing Deadpool X-Force needs awakening for, by the way, to counter Nick Fury's second life. He's perfectly fine on duped, but you will not be able to do that to Nick Fury. He'll still be able to take Nick Fury, just not as fast as he would be able to duped and at a decent sig. So if you don't have Deadpool X-Force, he's still the best option to pick, even if you cannot dupe him, because the only matchup this affects is the Nick Fury matchup. He's pretty much the fastest Yelena counter. Well, Silver Samurai's probably a bit faster, but definitely either the best or the second best Yelena counter in Battlegrounds. And he's just so incredibly versatile. He can nuke a lot of defenders with a single special 1, and if they're bleed immune, you just go special 2, special 1 instead. So yeah, you do see him used in Alliance War a lot more than the other champions. I would say Sentinel and Deadpool X-Force are probably the most used champions in Alliance War. Sentinel's definitely used more, but Deadpool sees some use in Alliance War as well. Just a really solid, versatile champion, and he does not need awakening. So yeah, those are the ranking, fellas. For example, if let's say you have every single champion but you don't have any of them duped, which one would I recommend duping? Either Medusa or Sentinel. It's hard to pick between those two, but if you have every single champion but you don't have them duped, I would pick either Medusa or Sentinel. But yeah, that's going to be the end of the video, fellas. Hopefully this helps you make a decision on who to pick out of the selector. And if you are wondering, yes, I have made a video on who you should select from the banquet out of Kingpin and Absman. That's either going to be coming out later today or tomorrow. Not decided yet, but I have made that video and it's ready to go. So thank you all for watching. You know what to do if you found this helpful, if you enjoyed it, and that's it from me. See you all in the next one.